This is almost as bad as you sneezing last time. Okay, we're going live. We're live. Actually, I believe that you were talking to Lauren here in the Twitch chat at some point.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is Team Kuribrohs Live, TKB Live. Us sitting on a couch again.
Different couch?
Different couch, same city. Wow. Yeah, so we will wait a little bit for people to get into the chat before we go into the full topics.
We should do bonus content for the people that are here early.
Bonus content for the people here early. So, guys, the real question that I think the audience wants to know while we wait for people to show up is, what is your favorite type of tea? We'll start with Seb.
Favorite type of tea?
Yeah.
I have
Hot beverage. Seb's a weird one and doesn't drink much tea.
That's not even remotely true.
I thought you were just like
It's
Starbucks
true.
or nothing.
No, I drink a lot of tea. In fact, I have a different type of tea depending on what time of day it is.
Oh no!
In the morning, I'm an English.
Okay,
English
you have to
breakfast.
choose one. You have to choose one.
I'm gonna go with Earl Grey.
Earl Grey, okay. With or without milk and sugar?
Milk, no sugar, but not
Milk,
too
no
much
sugar.
milk.
Okay, he's a maniac. Alec, your chance to redeem yourself.
All tea is just hot, wet dirt.
Okay, very cultured man here.
Can you tell who's not British?
Jasmine green.
Okay, with or without milk and sugar? Hey, look, this is an important question because he just said he has milk in his Earl Grey.
Yes, you do have milk in Earl Grey. It's black tea.
No, he's wrong.
There is
You don't have
nothing
much
else
milk.
that goes in jasmine green tea.
Other than the sediment.
Not a lot of
Throw it in
sediment.
a teapot and you don't get sediment.
The dirt that's in your hot and wet.
Okay, well, tea failed entirely.
No.
So I think we will just get into Yugioh content because we are a bit more qualified to talk about that. So there was a good few big events this weekend. There was the YCS Fort Knoxville?
Not Fort Knoxville.
Just regular Knoxville.
I don't know. It's far away. It's early in the morning. Something question mark.
Dan's drunk already.
YCS Knoxville.
He's high on tea.
There was German nationals.
Yeah.
And then there was a bunch of regionals. There were a few other nationals this weekend as well.
Bunch of regionals?
I assume there were regionals.
Yeah, there was one or two.
I think there was like one in France. I considered going, but I was like, no.
Bunch of regionals. So quite a lot of competitive events, and I think the format has definitely kind of developed quite a bit this week.
Yeah.
America has its first major event to sort of
Yeah.
weigh in on our meta.
So like Dark Neostorm meta, we had our kind of big three for the last few weeks. We were pretty comfortable that Striker and Orcust and Salomon Great had kind of established themselves as the format. And it seems like this weekend has possibly shifted that a little bit.
I think certainly if you look more at German Nats, you see a really broad selection of decks making it into the top cut. Still the three that we were expecting being the three most represented in their top cut, but over in America, I believe there were only 4 decks in the top cut for YCS.
Okay. And
So we'll first look at German nationals, I think.
Okay.
So, like you said, German nationals, most represented decks were the big three, as we expected. And we've seen the shift since Dark Neostorm came out. So the first weekend of Dark Neostorm, there was the big Mystic Mine fear bubble.
Yeah, and Mine Burn.
And Mine Burn particularly, exactly.
Which should have been everywhere in Germany, because Germans burn decks.
Yeah. I was expecting a lot of Draco as well, and I didn't see any. I'm pretty sure there was Draco there, but a lot of
Germans really like their salmon, right?
Salami.
Yeah, salami. Yeah. For anyone who watches the German coverage, they don't call it salad, they call it salami, which is very cute.
But yeah, so we had that kind of fear bubble around Mine, and Mine obviously is a very powerful card in this format. But so after the first week, we see the shift towards spell and trap card removal. Orcust is playing things like Galaxy Cyclones or Twins. and everybody else is playing similar things.
Yeah.
Cosmic Cyclone.
Like,
Started all over the side.
Don't-
I mean,
hang
people
on,
are
I've
playing
seen
Galaxy
people
Cyclone
playing
before.
Galaxy Cyclone as well.
Just make sure you write the right one on the deck.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I'm not writing a deck
it's
list
fine.
again until Niagara Falls, so we have time to figure it out. But yeah, and then I feel like this weekend, from my point of view, it kind of got to a point where the spell and trap removal wasn't as worthwhile. So from my experience at German Nationals and from the interviews I had with people when I was doing deck profiles, really tried to kind of get their impression of things more than a regular deck profile. Like, something that we're aiming with our profiles is that you can watch it without knowing the deck and kind of walk away with a sense as to like how it performed and if it would be a good fit for you going into an event. And we'll have all of the lists. I think they're all uploaded. So we just need to do thumbnails and descriptions. So within the next 24 hours, we're going to have about 10 lists live on the channel.
Nice.
We already have 2 plus Ryan's speed duel profile.
What a man.
So his beard is beautiful. Just
They don't have gadgets in Speed Duel yet.
They don't have gadgets in speed duel.
So I have no idea what he played.
There's Gravekeeper's Recruiter, which is kind of like a gadget.
Sure.
It finds you things.
It does
He's
nothing.
good at
It
finding
searches.
stuff. Yeah,
It does nothing
exactly.
in searches, good.
But yeah, so Speed Duel is something that we'll talk about later on in the video because I think it's actually quite interesting. But it is perhaps not the main focal point that these fine people have joined us for. So, pardon?
Assumptions.
I mean, we're a Speed Duel stream now, guys.
That means we can only have 3 panelists.
Oh.
Alec, bye.
I'm a field spell.
Okay, so it is going to be Alec versus Seb, cage fighting deathmatch here on TKB Live.
And in the red corner. It's okay, they're all my corners.
Indoors. Hey, and Ryan's in the chat. Congrats, Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Back to German Nats.
Back to German Nats. From my experience and from talking to a lot of the people who had Mystic Mind mained, it was underperforming massively.
Okay.
Now, I didn't speak to many people who are playing Metaverse because obviously Metaverse changes the impact of mine a lot. But if you are playing mine in the Striker Mirror, it's really bad.
Yeah.
And again, there's so much spell and trap removal that it becomes difficult to justify.
It's not nearly as reliable.
Yeah. Now, on the contrary, we see the decks that have won this weekend, with Thunder Dragons at Knoxville and Altergeist in Germany. Both of those decks really struggle with mine, I think. Like,
Close to 0 out.
Geist.
Geist plays trap cards,
Yeah.
but
So
like,
Geist has outs in the form of spoofing. It can remove all monsters from its field.
sure, but everybody's playing spell and trap removal.
Yeah,
like
don't
I
get me
played
wrong,
against a
it's-
Geist who tried to do that, and I was like, MST, you're spoofing, you lose.
Yeah, like
See,
I'm not saying it's like
Jack
impossible, it's
Verma
just-
would just compulsory his own guy.
Yeah,
Isn't he all
compulsory on guy.
Yeah.
That is a tech that a lot of people were
Named
playing in
2 of those.
OC.
Sure.
Yeah, people are playing that in OCG. To do
Compulse,
with mine and Altergeist.
and then use your Faker, seems good. Yeah,
just
I
compulse
mean-
your own Faker and
He's
then
gone,
activate.
he's back.
Whoa! Spooky Ghost, and then mine is still there. Oh.
Neither here nor there. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's interesting. E-Man Games have posted in the chat saying that Joshua Schmidt played with mine.
Yeah.
Or played mine with Tree Metaverse and he hated it.
Yeah.
I definitely, like, it's really hard to tell because I feel like we're in a state of the format where, like, for German Nationals, I think I was playing Tree Mine and Set Rotation. I just took Marcello's list because I didn't have as much time to test as I would like. And I think it was very much the wrong build. But the format is in a place where next weekend it might be the right build because of how quickly the format is shifting, and like we're not seeing the standardized lists yet that we would normally expect at this point in the format. So I think there's a lot of depth to the format, which is really exciting, but it also means for nationals and stuff, like
Trying to pick
Yeah,
what you want to build is...
What you want to build, and even
how
which
you
build
build
of
it.
it. Like, we have like 3 or 4 different Salmon Great lists that all have like very different versions. We had one of the Salmon Great lists, which will be going up, was playing the, I think, it's not Mole, it's the one that protects from battle.
There's one that protects from battle?
Yeah, so...
I don't know what the meta ones do, let alone...
There's like
Please explain.
a Salmon Great which, if your guy would be destroyed by battle, you gain life points equal to the attacking monster, and your guy isn't destroyed. And then if one of your Salmon Great monsters destroys one of their monsters, you get added from your grave back to your hand.
Someone in the chat, please tell us what the card is. We don't know.
It's not Mole, but it's some small animal.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because it meant Raccoon. Okay, cool. So Raccoon meant that they couldn't be OTK'd in the mirror.
Okay.
So the opponent goes fusion, attacks, and you drop this, you gain life points.
Oh, so a hand trap.
Yeah. It's a hand trap monster, and
it's like really ghetto conquery.
Yeah, but I mean it works. So.
Yeah, true.
And then you can just fuse their guy, and
suddenly you are even bigger.
Yeah, and then you kill them. So that's really interesting.
No, you're getting mugged.
Yeah. I think this format's kind of interesting because it's cycling, and it's mainly cycling around mine. Because I think mine is actually still the center point of a lot of the deck building in this format. Not because it's necessarily present, but because you're either like fearing it or you're not. In basically every deck that you build. So if you're playing like the Sekka's Thunder Dragon, then obviously you just don't care about mine in the slightest, and you're just pretending it doesn't exist.
I mean, you care a lot about it.
Well, no, but you know what I mean. Like you have made the decision that you're just going to lose to it, at the very least, game one, with the attitude of other people are going to be dropping the mine because everyone's playing mine, and when everyone's playing mine is bad. But then you can go the other way where, this is the thing. Everyone's playing mine is bad. No one's playing mine is good because the decks that don't play mine lose to mine.
We're actually in a cyclical meta in that regard, or we're actually just shifting to kind of new territory? Because it doesn't feel like we're going on like just pure round in circles for what you should play, but people are bringing actual new things and new techs, new ideas.
I think the meta is polarizing, is how I see it, is that we started off with mine being a good card that you should probably play, and realistically when you drop it into good situations, it just wins you the game. But now we're seeing half of the room just literally doesn't care about mine in the slightest, and it's just a blank piece of paper. So obviously all of the striker builds, a lot of the Salamangreat decks are now maining infinite, which one's the trap that pops?
Oh, Dynamis.
Rage.
Rage.
Rage or Roar.
Yeah.
I
Rage.
don't know which one Rage, as well as all the backer removal, and that deck can just realistically just ignore mine for a good few turns. And then we're seeing the Orcust decks, which just continue to not play any backer removal and just ignore its existence turn one, and now Thunder with Sekka's, which we assumed just wasn't going to be part of the meta at all, given mine's existence. But we've now gotten to the stage where, mine is either the best or the worst card in your deck, instead of what we had a good few weeks ago, which was you could play a few of them, and it was going to be reasonable in everything except for just the striker matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it has polarized the format. For sure.
Yeah. 100%.
Does that put mine decks or decks that rely heavily on mine in a position where they really can't top at the moment because they will just see too many rounds of opposition that doesn't care about it?
Yeah, I would not feel comfortable going into a tournament with, say, the Martello's list, given what we've seen from this weekend, purely because you are going to play at least 3 rounds of people that are either don't care about mine because it's a striker mirror or something like that, or they're way over prepared for the existence of mine, or have made deck building considerations to not lose to mine, that kind of area, to where you are a significant dog in that matchup if your main strategy revolves around resolving mine and just assuming it wins you the game.
I think early on in the format, obviously, I played a list that was just my goal was to set up mine and just hit people in the face.
And not hit anyone in the face for 7 turns.
There was a lot of Hayate poke. But yeah, like that was kind of the whole point. Because even a lot of striker lists like weren't really prepared for like the concept of the striker list that goes second and just like plays lots of like the second jamming ways or whatever, or plays MST.
Just straight up removal wasn't nearly as prevalent as it was at the beginning of the format, and we moved towards just a lot of people playing Smashing Grounds and MST.
But Smashing Grounds that get you a +1 if you go second, so
it
really starts ramping up a bit.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I mean, I think it's a very interesting format. Like, I've spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of people have said, I don't like mine, I think it should be banned. And I would be of the opinion that mine is a very interesting card for a format, in that, like, we see this where, like, the format, even after, like, such a large event as German Nationals, I don't think the format is in any way solved, or even close to having the most optimal deck lists available. And that's quite interesting, because generally by German Nationals, like, if you look at last year, by German Nationals, Trickstar Striker was just established as best deck.
Yeah, like, we're a good month into the format. Last season,
we started...
Eugen was like 2 weeks into the format with his triple Ghost Bell, that Trickstar list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was literally
then that was just a copy and paste list. Like, no one played Ghost Bell, but other than that, that was relatively solved until people realized Goki was good.
Yeah. Goki did end that format with a bang.
But I guess, that sort of, we saw natural format progression in a format that felt really solved up to that point.
Yeah. But like, we had week 1, and then nothing changed from week 1 to like 2 months.
Do you think that there is a possibility of a deck that exists right now that just hasn't shown itself yet, that will have the ability to do what Goki did last summer, going into Continentals?
The thing with Goki was it was
like,
super resilient to all of the interaction in the format. Because you had access to Dolphin, you were able to play through a lot of hand traps, which is what we've kind of established the game to say, hey, look, if you're playing combo, you accept that you're playing into hand traps, and if you get hit by them, you lose.
I think Nightmare Goblin as well was...
Yeah, if we got something like Cross-Site Designator...
Oh,
no. Can we not talk about that?
It's not time yet.
Not
like
yet.
6 months before.
If we magically got it before Euros, it would completely shift the format.
No. I don't want to live in that world.
Designator will do some silly things when it shows up.
Without a card like that, we have the issue where I think like Called by the Grave and Mystical Space Typhoon are two of the strongest cards in the format.
Which is wild.
Which is really weird.
MST is really good at the moment.
Called by the Grave and mine, I want to see banned. Called by the Grave, I think it limits design space so much because it is the best trap card in the format, and it is also the best hand trap in the format, and it is also the best spell card in the format. It just does everything.
The best combo extender.
Yeah, it extends your combos, it kills your opponent's deck. Against certain decks, it just shuts them down entirely.
Going second against Orcust, just having Cold by the Grave for Dingears is just game.
It's like going first or second, like, you're always happy to see it in your hand. Going first, you're like, okay, this makes sure my combo resolves, but if I don't need it, I have an extra piece of interaction.
My board is just bigger.
The only time Called by is weak is when you set it in your main phase 2 and you go to end phase. That is the only point at which Called by the Grave doesn't do something. Otherwise, it is always live.
And even then, like...
Which I think is absurd. Because it means, like, if you compare it to something like Breakthrough Skill, which it obviously is kind of our format's equivalent of Breakthrough Skill. Like, Breakthrough Skill had...
Time.
Yeah. Back
We're
in the
talking
day!
Like hat days.
Yeah, so, like, Breakthrough Skill obviously was a very impactful and powerful card in that format, but... You know, you were able to play other trap cards in that format.
Yeah, I think everything that doesn't need a full 5 combo pieces in hand should be playing 3-4 by the grave.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Striker has moved back towards it, even though that deck doesn't necessarily care about any of the hand traps at the moment, just because it's a good piece of interaction and it's a spell card.
Yeah. Good piece of interaction that our spell cards are nice cards in Striker. Can't confirm.
So Omar is asking, should you be siding against mine, basically?
If your main deck can't beat mine inherently, and you have like no main deck engine that can take care of it, then yeah, you definitely need something between your main or your side that's going to be able to take it out. Just like play a few test games where your opponent always starts with Mystic Mine. If they are always winning those games, then you absolutely need to consider it in the side, if not the main deck. There's a judgment call to be had about how much you expect to see it in main decks based on what we've learned from German Nationals and Knoxville, but it's definitely going to be played at some level.
I mean, even like, you know, the decks that weren't maining it, a lot of them were playing a copy R2 to search with terraforming in the side.
Yeah.
I've seen Thunder Dragon lists where for the mirror, they side the copy of Mystic Mine and they just bring it in and they're like, you've like drawn cards from your deck, mine, that's game.
Yeah.
It'll take 30 turns, but
Sure.
But
we're just gonna.
But that's totally
draw
fine
cards.
because you're guaranteed to win those games, and it's just silly.
Yeah, like you need to have some number of outs, otherwise your opponent can just realistically draw for 10 draw phases. Just having the threat of being able to draw into an MST and going, I unlocked the mine first, and now I get to do my splurge and kill you in one turn.
Yeah.
Just having the ability to just even hope for that top deck is a very significant thing.
For that point, even as you say, just having a single copy of any card.
Yeah, because otherwise you are just stone dead.
And you could even play a card that isn't specifically removal for a spell and trap. So if you just had at least one in any build in your side deck, one card that's like, we've seen, what is it? Paleozoic Dynamiscus is a card that you can use for removal for anything. And at the bare minimum, that gives you protection from the games where your opponent thinks they have you beaten just because they activate mine.
Yeah.
So Usman in the chat says that Spell Canceller is finally being played in the side.
Yeah.
I mean, people can play it in the side, and it's been played in the side in the past, I'm pretty sure. But I don't think that justifies it as a good card. You need to have a free summon to tribute summon it, and then you're using your normal summon on something that you could just MST.
Yeah, I know one of the top 8 decks from Knoxville cited 3 of it and sung very high praises of it. But you need to open the absolute titty bojangles with Thunder Dragons to do Thunder Dragon things and not use your normal summon.
You can in Thunder Dragon you can summon it Yugioh.
Okay, sure.
So like that's relevant, but then it's only good going first, and that's not like half the games you lose because your opponent like metaverses for mine. And part of the issue is, like, sure, you might be able to get your Danger off, and then they activate the mine, and you're like, I still have my normal summon, I'll summon Spell Canceller. But then you've used your normal summon on Spell Canceller, and then they still have, like, whatever else they're doing.
I mean, there is an argument for it, because, like, you get locked under mine, and then on the next turn you tribute summon it, and then you tributed a Thunder, and the mine is turned off.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not...
Like, it's probably one of the better answers to mine in Thunder specifically.
Because seconds for it.
Yeah, because, like...
You can search it with the new dragon from Dark Neostorm by targeting Hayate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's an interaction.
I mean, it comes up against mine, but...
I'd like a lot more if it had just a little bit more attack.
Yeah.
It doesn't...
If it were Jinzo, it would be a lot better.
Yeah, if it had enough attack points...
To not be attacked
by
like Kagari.
Yeah, or Shizuku. Then it would be a very real card, but it's just not going to carry the game against Striker, and at that point...
You need to win that turn.
That's the problem.
Your normal summon. Yeah.
I mean, it's really good against... Is it even really good against Mind Burn? Like...
Yeah. It's great against Mind Burn.
Is Jinzo not just better against Mind Burn?
Either is fine.
Either is fine, yeah.
Like, if you summon a Spell Canceller or a Jinzo against Mystic Mind Burn, you've won.
Yeah, like, they don't have a lot of outs, anything.
We're told it's also searchable through Clifford Genius.
Beautiful.
Hey, someone searched Spell Canceller against me with Clifford Genius at the German Open.
Sure.
I had it happen. He
More power to that guy.
Yeah, no, he was playing ABC, and he did some very silly things.
Respect.
Nick has a question about Thunder Dragon, which we will use to transition into going into Knoxville. I've not actually gotten to watch any of Knoxville because
Okay.
I was...
Watch.
Nobody got to
No
watch
one,
any
no
of
one
Knoxville.
watched it.
Oh yeah!
It's an American
Okay.
event. They don't have streams.
TKB
Check us
streams more than Konami US.
Speaking of streams, you can catch myself and Marcello Barberi streaming
UK Nationals.
UK Nationals this weekend. So
Will
You
be
know.
streamed in English.
in English,
You're all
in
welcome.
English, yes.
Hey,
I
that,
mean,
that was a lovely German stream.
Little bit
I
of
very
Irish.
much enjoyed it. Thank you
the
very
German
much.
stream is great. The CSL guys are real cool.
Yeah, and,
Yeah,
and it's also just a pleasure to listen to some of the things they say. They're a lot funnier in German.
So have you guys gotten to read up on Knoxville much?
There are very
Little
ridiculous out
bit.
there at the moment.
I followed
Yeah.
it,
Which is annoying.
but I didn't read the full feature matches. I was just
Yeah.
following what was going down,
And-
looking at deck breakdown and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I'm well aware. I'm aware of the deck breakdown. Lots of combo, lots of Orcust, lots of Thunder. America's always been more of a combo heavy meta. Like generally when there's a combo deck in a format, Americans tend to favorite. I don't know why, it's just a thing. So it's not super surprising that it's more featured there. The fact that they were so dominant with the existence of mine is, I guess, the surprise. We kind of talked about that a little already.
9 Thunder,
Yeah.
we were expecting 1 Thunder, maybe 0 Thunder.
I was
9 is a lot of
No,
Thunder.
I think going into the weekend, I would have expected a good 3 to 4 Thunder. They just have to only play against 2 mine. And
we
the
kind of
members.
knew that some of the American players were talking about it in the weeks leading up, just because of the CED
Yeah,
conversations.
there's been a lot of chat about on
Yeah.
Facebook people looking for Chaos Emperors, and they're like, huh,
Yeah.
it
So
seems
we've
like an
heard
odd
the
choice with
rustlings.
mine.
Yeah.
But based on our conversations last week, we were Lancia kind of sort of is there for Thunder, but that's
Yeah.
just
Everyone
Yeah.
is already siding triple Lancia,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are main decking Mystic Mine. Seems like a bold time to play an event with Thunder Dragon.
No,
But apparently it worked, and Thunder Dragon actually got its YCS win, which
Yeah.
Upsetting.
We didn't think
about
about it.
He is absolutely tearing it up.
and that was a very stacked top cut as well. There were a lot of good
Yeah,
players in that
a
top
lot
cut.
of names.
That was the kind of event. No, I mean that's the kind of top cut you like to see.
Yeah. As a European, if you can look at a US YCS top cut and be like, I think I know half of these people.
Yeah. That was quite pleasant.
So realistically, I think it's safe to assume that Thunder Dragon is going to see more play.
Yeah.
People have the cards, the deck is performing well, it lets people play Brotor, the dragon from Dark Neostorm, which is popular. It's a cool card, it's an interesting deck.
Is that literally the only new card being featured in Thunder at the moment?
Epidemic Virus is seeing play, which is not a new card, but it is
something
that we haven't seen.
As we left
scary.
last format,
Yeah.
we're basically running back the same deck, just with Brotor, aren't we?
Yeah. You replace Darkness Metal Dragon with Brotor.
No,
yeah.
were people playing at Red MD?
You
Yeah.
don't play it.
Okay.
because you
People
play
were
Brotor.
previously
Okay, fair enough.
with the Guard Dragon stuff,
Yeah.
but now
No, you
Brotor
don't
just
Brotor
guarantees
from
that you get to your Chaos Dragons.
Yeah.
So I think Thunder Dragon is going to be a real deck. We need to see what direction the format is going. Really, I feel like hand traps are probably a lot better than they were a couple of weeks ago because the mine decks are kind of moving in weird directions. But I feel like it's at the moment it's almost a format where you prepare for one thing, either the wombo combo decks or the grindy decks.
Yeah.
And if you get lucky and you play against the one that you prepare for, you just smash everything.
That's exactly what I've just
That
been
is kind of-
thinking. There's so many different ways that people can be building their decks. If you try to build in a conservative manner that enables you to have a reasonable matchup against everything, you might find that you just get outvalued by the people who have gone with a more greedy deck building approach. It's definitely something that I've personally been considering a lot because I'm in a position where I don't feel like I need to win the event, but I need to not suck.
Yeah.
So
118th.
yeah,
118th.
I think 118th would be just beautiful for me. And so maybe that puts me in a position where I want to take like the most conservative deck that means that I have a chance in every match. I'm going to lose to a couple of people who built something greedy and are like, yeah, I don't have enough to take out that.
But X3 is perfect.
Yeah.
So there's a question about what's our thoughts on Epidemic Virus in the side against Striker. And I think you can actually consider Epidemic against a lot of decks.
Yeah.
Like, particularly, Altergeist is going to be on the rise.
I
really just...
I hate
We all
it.
know what you think.
It's a deck that just frustrates me because it has really cool concepts. And boy, do I love Kieran. But at the same time...
I would rather my opponent was playing anything else.
It's like... I played Paleo... like, competitively in a format.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure, I love trap card decks. But it's not really a trap card deck. And it's not really a Kieran deck. And it's just in this kind of, like, weird space.
No one has any fun. Like,
no one playing
Altergeist does nothing, and then
or you're on, like, 5 Hextias.
Or they just set the traps, like, not even the Altergeist stuff, they just set the good traps, and then they beat you with, like, 2 strikes. And then you have to watch them durdle for 14 more turns as they Altergeist you. But the Altergeist didn't kill you. Just the normal traps killed you. And then the Altergeist did they are on cleanup duty.
Getting back to my point is Epidemic is good against Altergeist.
Yes.
Like, there are lots of decks in the format where you Epidemic and you call something and they're dead.
Yep.
I think if you're on Thunder Dragon,
how many spell cards do Orcust currently play?
Like, Orcust and Solid you can call like spells or traps, and like you get the hand of
I don't think you'd be
knowledge.
siding
at least a third of your deck is
them.
spells. Like you play
Probably
5
still not worth
strikers,
giving up a
5
monster,
field
but-
spells for Trickstar, and then random dirtly stuff.
Yeah, like there's a fair chunk of spells, but there's also just a lot of cards, and they could just be like, yeah, I didn't have the spells, your card did nothing.
Sure.
And like EV is most of the time a card that you want to play, commit your hand to resolving it, and win the game because you did.
No,
like
we're talking about main deck EV.
No, we're talking about side. Yeah, if we're siding it,
there's some value there if you decide that it's a card that you want to main deck, but you wouldn't want to be siding it in for Orcust because it could just flop.
I would say you definitely want to side it though. I think it's actually one of the cards that is scariest to play against.
I don't know if it's good enough to justify siding out Snecker's Light though.
So whoever is piloting the E-Man Games account says that they enjoy playing Altergeist.
Whoever it is, the mysterious
Jack
voice.
Verma has added them saying he agrees. So we have an Altergeist contingent in the chat.
Yikes.
We are going to shift over to dual content.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Jack, on the win. Again, Altergeist, like, obviously it's a powerful deck, but it's just one that I like. It frustrates me to think about. It just doesn't make sense in my head.
I've always hated Geist.
I think Altergeist is also a really powerful choice when fatigue starts coming into things. If you play perfectly against Altergeist, then you're probably going to beat them, like, unless they've opened the nuts, which, like, any deck can do that. But loads of people, like, the games go long, there's plenty of time for mistakes to slip in, and a good Altergeist player is going to capitalize that and I'll have my free win. We've played 10 turns, and my plays have been squeaky clean, yours haven't, I win.
I mean, it's like Teller Knights back in Duelist Alliance format.
Maybe.
Teller Knights, you just did your thing. Like, every turn, you're just like, here's my...
play to Altergeist.
I think Teller Knights was a very linear, you did your thing, and it gives you the opponent an opportunity to mess up, but they shouldn't. With Altergeists, there's a lot of decisions to be made along the way to actually do your thing correctly for that many turns. So it is both that the Altergeist player has scope to play correctly, the opponent has scope to misplay, and if either one of those things happen, then the Altergeist player takes the win.
Yeah, like we were watching the finals of German Nats, specifically game 1, there was some beautiful Yugioh being played. And I'm really glad that it was a 2-0 and the game wasn't decided in time, because there was some very, very back and forth intricate Yugioh, and I do feel like the better player won that game purely based on player skill, and that's like not a thing we've seen in many finals recently.
Wow.
No one wanted to win your final.
No one wanted to win your final.
We just wanted to make it dramatic.
Don't
I'm
play with my
sure.
heart like that.
So, overall takeaways from the big events this weekend is format's just like wide open. Nobody
We
really
don't
knows
have
what
any
they're
clue.
doing. Mine is something that you need to consider. You also now need to consider Thunder Dragon.
Yeah.
Altergeist, I feel like all of the considerations for Striker and Salomon Great kind of cover it.
Yeah.
But you definitely want to be familiar with the deck, and you need to be thinking through, like, how do I play through when my opponent goes Imperm, summon Multi-Faker.
You don't. You just cry. And
You
accept
just
you've
cry
lost.
and
You
then you
try
cry
not to
more.
cry, but then you cry.
You cry.
Just remember, every Altergeist card has at least one more effect that you didn't know.
That is true. Oh
Everything
god,
has
they
a
have
random
so much tax.
Yeah, like you can't summon a rank 3 after you've resolved your multi-taker.
And you can't search under Droll.
I didn't think that was a piece of Altergeist text, but
I didn't know about it.
Oh god.
So I forget where I was going with this.
Speed Duel.
Speed Duel. Speed Duel is very, very exciting. So Speed Duel has a skill which lets you once per game pay 1,000 life points to just choose the outcome of a die roll or a coin flip.
Yeah.
And it is also a format in which Dice Spoon exists.
Yeah.
What does Dice Spoon do?
Dice Spoon, you quick play spell, roll a dice. If it's a 1 or a 6,
Yep.
you take damage.
Lose 1,000 life points.
You lose 1,000 life points. If it is 2, 3, or 4, you destroy 1 spell trap card on the
If it's
field
a
without
5,
targeting.
yeah.
And if it's a 5, you destroy 2.
Okay, so
Yeah,
if you
that's
have the skill card, and Dice Spoon is basically just free Twin Twisters.
Yes.
Or rather than discarding a card, you pay 1,000 life.
Yeah, non-target.
Non-targeting.
Yep.
Yeah, but
In
they
a
only have 2
format,
spell cards
in a
anyway.
format that there is
3.
like, there is no mystical space typhoon in this format.
Yeah.
Slash Tornado, yeah, is the next best.
Yeah.
Right.
And Amazon S have their field spell for some reason. I don't understand why the Amazon S
So
field
good.
spell is in the format. It's so strong.
Speed Duels.
But yeah, we have a burn profile and we have.
For the people that
Hey.
might not know the format, what is the Amazon S? field?
So the Amazon S field spell basically says whenever one of your Amazon S's die, you get to summon another one from your deck.
Oh,
In short, that's what it does.
that's
Amazon-
pretty powerful
yeah.
for a limited format.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not a lot of special summons in that format, or ones that you would actually play, but that one is really good.
Ryan was also playing Time Wizard in his side deck. 5-card side deck. He could side in Time Wizard and Raigeki the board.
Raigeki.
Powerful.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a really cute deck. I think, I put the profile up just before this started, so people will be able to catch it. Ryan is just somebody who's been putting a lot of effort into Speed Duel in general, and it's a format that I think is quite exciting and something that I want to see more of. There was the big French stream a couple of weeks ago, which is really interesting to see. There was like 6,000 concurrent viewers. Crazy.
Those are some big numbers.
So yeah, it's a format that we'll be looking into kind of covering a bit more of, especially now that new sets are coming out. The most recent set just came out last weekend, I think, and then there's another set that has already been announced for a couple of weeks' time, or a month or two. But it means that the format is growing more diverse, so it's moving away from just being Amazon S and Blue Eyes, which, as exciting as Amazon S and Blue Eyes sounds,
It gets repetitive.
it gets a bit repetitive.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely something to keep an eye out for. I think realistically, we're happy to open up to questions from the audience at this point.
Yeah.
While we wait for questions to come in, so if you do have questions, please do post them in. I would like to discuss Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, because that card became very, very poor at the start of the format.
And then I feel like last week we were like, is it time for its upswing? And then it kind of had an upswing this weekend.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Phantasmes in deck lists this weekend.
Hence Altergeist.
Yeah. Guy. I saw
Did
Phantasme
guys play
summoned
Phantasme?
against
No,
Altergeist.
it's just a deck you play against Phantasme.
Fair. Phantasme and actually Typhoon is a card that was really interesting because I like, again, talking through the lists with people while I was getting them. People were very mixed on the card. Now, obviously, it's a very strong card. It acts as...
Oh, are you talking mystical space typhoon or actual typhoon?
No, we're talking
Typhoon.
about Typhoon.
Typhoon, the trap card
Yeah,
that you can activate during
I
your
haven't
turn.
seen that. What's it been coming in for? What decks have been playing it?
So, you can side it in against Pendulum.
Yep.
You can side it in against Striker.
Mostly
Mine,
striker.
Striker, yeah.
It's
So, it
multi-roll.
lets you clear mine, and it also lets you clear multi-roll.
Yeah, it's Ghost Ogre for multi-roll that hedges as an out to mine,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
which I like it. I've always had a soft spot for that card, and if you're in
I
the
mean,
I
just
know
because
that,
you
yeah.
have a soft spot for it doesn't
Look.
mean it's good in the
Look
format.
Does
If
it
you're
have
playing
any good splash value against other decks, or would it only be for solid Mystic Mine decks and Pendulum? Because we don't see a lot of Pendulum. And I get we do see a lot of Mystic Mine, but
No, it is
It's
just striker.
reasonable, like, it's not great, but it's reasonable in other matchups. Like, it kind of interacts like you're 1-for-1 with a Fog Blade or something, but, like, that's not great. That's, like, the thing you'd rather be hitting is anything else on that board, is the short answer.
I'd probably just go straight for the Babel to
Yeah,
force
exactly.
things out
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
matchup.
exactly. Like, it's not a nothing card in other matchups, but yeah, it's not great.
I mean, it's a side card.
Yeah, it's a side.
striker. It's mine.
Yeah.
You don't need much more from your card.
Mhm.
Simple, man.
So Team Mambo asked they want to get speed duel set up at their locals. What is the best way to go about this? I mean, start playing speed dueling, get the cards in,
Yeah.
just show people why it's fun.
Bring some decks to your regular locals and offer some people a game. Like,
Availability is the main thing.
Yeah, like if you
No
give
one is going
Yugioh
to.
players Yugioh, they will play Yugioh, and then they'll be like, "Huh,
Huh, that was
this
really
is fun." Like
Yeah.
Denko format,
yeah,
Yeah.
which we'll be covering more of soon.
We will indeed.
Yeah, there will be a Denko format list video at some point in the next month to 2 months.
we should probably mention what it is because it won't make sense to anyone. Just
I mean,
briefly.
That's
we,
more of the
we
mystery.
yes,
Yeah.
that is true. So, Thomas, what do you like to do?
It's a format that we made, and it's 40 cards, 2 identical decks, kind of similar to Goat Control. That's all you need to know for now, but we like it a lot. We've played it a lot.
It has fencing fire ferret in it. It's great. It's good fun. Luke Smallman asks, what do we think of the inclusion of Mystic Mine in the Orcust lists from, I think, Knoxville? I'm pretty sure lists at German Nats also had it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, you get the splash damage from the fact that you're already playing ways into field spells. There exist matchups where it's a free win. Having free wins is always nice, particularly in longer tournaments where, like, people get exhausted over the course of the day. Every free win is a game that you didn't have to think about, and it just conserves you so that you're still fresh later on.
I think, genuinely speaking, against most of the decks that you would want hand traps, mine is just the best going second card you could play. You just, with the caveat that you need to have ways of getting rid of it eventually.
It's just Midbreaker Field, but you just set the table over it.
That is a
it's
very,
basically-
very generous, very
It's
generous
basically
comparison there.
Midbreaker.
Midbreaker can't be terraforming for.
Yeah.
Oh, we have CCG exposed in the chat, apparently. You're a bit late there, friend.
Yeah, there's not a lot of CCG around.
CC who?
I don't know. So, Pocket Trumpeter V2, who has been in the chat a lot, so welcome back, in previous streams. But what do we think about System then? It was cited in the Altergeist list.
It's really scary to, like, Orcust decks.
Mhm.
Both evenly matched and system down are 2 cards which, if you're going second into an Orcust combo, they will just throw it down. If you didn't have that counter trap, you probably lost the game.
Bit of a blowout.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're playing a lot of Orcust, card's really good.
Yeah.
if you're only playing against, like, Salmon Great, probably not very playing.
Like, we saw
DNA
Orcust
favorite.
taking up about 1/6 of the top cut in German nationals, so it's probably not at the point where you can necessarily afford to dedicate side deck slots specifically to it unless you know that it's a weak matchup for you.
Yeah.
Evenly matched, on the other hand, hits a whole range of things, particularly in Europe where we know that there'll be loads of people bringing rogue strategies to nationals. Always happens. We saw tons of different decks in German Nationals Top Cut, so evenly feels like a very safe choice. But yeah, I don't think I'd go straight to system down unless you know that it's a weak one for you.
Yeah. Again, like the side deck space, it's not so much of a solved format that you can just be like, yeah, I'm going to play against. Like in ABC format, you knew you were playing against ABC, and it was just like a silver bullet where you were like, you're dead. And then they activate their pot of acquisitiveness, and you're like,
they didn't even have that at first. Yeah. That was a couple of weeks after the introduction of ABC.
Yeah.
It's the trap card. It's Union Scramble.
Scramble.
This is a question which is most likely for Tom. From Noxian Blade. What do you think of Orcust BA with 3 Psychic Wielder, Emergency Teleport, 3 Destrudo, plus Foolish Burial for an extra F8 loss
It's
transfer?
already dead.
I mean, realistically, if we're seeing decks like Thunder Dragon topping events,
Wide open.
I don't hate the idea of Burning Abyss Orcust. If any of the Germans had failed to jump ahead of me in the points at German Nationals, I had a build of BA Orcust that I kind of wanted to take to Nationals because, I wanted to go back and defend with Burning Abyss. No one was expecting it. Like, that's not going to be something that I can do now because I know that I have to, at least do a decent performance, and I wouldn't be confident of doing that with Burning Abyss. But yeah, even if I was on that deck, I don't think that's necessarily how I would build it. The Salamangrates are a great starter for the Burning Abyss deck at the moment.
I was going to say, how sad are you that Salad is a better rank 3 enabler for Dante
but
than BA?
Yeah, it's a great rank 3 enabler, but you can use that as a rank 3 enabler and summon your Cherubini, summon your Dante, and do Burning Abyss stuff. There's a friend of mine who keeps sending me messages who's doing very, very well with Burning Abyss, and I'm like, I would love to play this. He's like, yeah, the deck is actually really good. I'm not confident with it because obviously I've been playing completely different stuff for so long, but I wouldn't want to jump back onto it. What is it? 4 days before Nationals.
Wow. So that's coming up.
So yeah, it's too late in the day for me to jump ship to something that I haven't tested at all at this point. There are decks that we've been testing. That is not one of them. But yeah, I would have just gone gung ho. Let's play Burning Abyss if I didn't need any points from Nationals.
It's okay, we've got time to test for Worlds.
Okay, we are going to jump to Q1 questions quickly because Stephen Outley asks, did any Pendulum variants top German Nationals? And I actually have a really cool one that I got. It is Pendulum, but it has no Endymion cards in it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really sick. He's playing Wisdom Eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is just old Pendulum.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
I know at the very beginning of this format, there were a few American players doing well with Pendulum at regional level with just the big Magician engine, normal Wisdom Eyes, multiple Oak Dragons, just bread and butter Pendulums as we've seen it for the past year. So I know that's still a deck that is out there.
Pendulum Summon is still a hell of a drug.
I mean,
Pendulum
you go from 1 monster to 5 monster.
But yeah, Pendulum, lots of interesting stuff. I don't know if I got any more Pendulums. I forget. But Pendulum is definitely a deck that you can consider playing. Chad Phillips asks, does the game need a hard reset? That's a very big question. It is something that I personally have thought about a lot, and I work very closely with the other card games that have done resets. I've worked closely with Pokemon, I've done events for Magic, I've done events with Cardfight Vanguard. Cardfight Vanguard did a reset which was horrendous and decimated the player community from my point of view. It really damaged faith in the product.
That was the hardest of resets, right?
Full reset. Changing numbers on cards and everything. It's if you reset and made Blue Eyes have 2,500 attack. Just that level of change. Short answer is no. Long answer is why hard reset something that people are enjoying when you can just introduce an alternate format which people can play as well.
Yeah, Speed Duel. I think Speed Duel gives a lot to the people who are really convinced in their belief that Yu-Gi-Oh ain't what it used to be.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Normal Summon Lord of the...
If you want that kind of gameplay, then Speed Duel will give it to you.
It's really,
If it's
really
just the nostalgia goggles, then maybe it's just nostalgia goggles. But like, if you genuinely are absolutely convinced that you want that kind of gameplay back, Speed Duel isn't the same as what you had 10 years ago, but it brings a lot of the aspects of what the game was more like, or even more longer ago than that, like 15 years ago now. You see a lot of that kind of interaction going on there, but we see the advanced constructed format being more popular than it has ever been right now.
Yeah.
There are so many people playing the game. I really enjoy it. Like, I have enjoyed this season of Yu-Gi-Oh! A huge amount.
I think the formats, the past few formats have been pretty good. Like, I think I've played all of them.
Yeah, since Firewall was banned, I think the format's actually been pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Funny that.
Huh,
Yeah.
weird.
Yugioh at the moment has a very unique gameplay that no other trading card game offers.
Yeah.
The closest thing that I've seen recently is like Clark Clan Ironworks from Modern and Magic,
Yikes.
which was like
Super
this.
banned.
Yeah, it got banned because it was just like a turn 4 kill you combo. But you know, the kind of idea of combos and so much searching and proactive cards is something that the other card games don't allow. So I think Yugioh's in a really interesting place at the moment. And like you said, Speed Duel is available for people that want to play a bit more. Summon my Battle Locks, attack you, Yugioh.
Yeah.
Konami have been trying that for a while now. Like, we had beta format before that, which is
Nobody
No,
has
no,
it.
no. Let's
I think
not
Speed Duel is a good offering for people that want that
But
style of Yu-Gi-Oh.
again, you could do a more complex version, but still something like that rather than resetting the entire game.
Yeah.
It's a much better way. Just offer people more rather than
Rather than restricting.
like
no one likes
Master
errata
Rule
to ban
4.
cards.
Yeah,
Master Rule 4 upset a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's no need to make massive changes when you can just offer branching paths. As long as your game's size is big enough that it can support communities for the different game types, and that's what we have to see with Speed Duel. Can Speed Duel build a community which is big enough to support Speed Duelists? Because Speed Duel is not Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
We do have limited time, so we will. I will make a full-length video on this at some point. I don't know when exactly, probably after Worlds, but it is a very interesting question. Moving forward, Adam asks, what do we think of no material in the Thunder Dragon lists at Knoxville? We've been talking about no material a lot in the group chats. Like, there's a lot of kind of murmurings like, is this good? Isn't it good? Should
Is
we
this
be
worth
picking it up?
£50?
Yeah, is it?
I just got my 6th one for all £20 at most, which
is what you should be paying if you want them.
Like, they will drop a little more, as you were saying earlier today, with the special edition, which is a week and a half away. If you don't have your set, get your set then. Like, it's not the best card right now, but we see people starting to consider it. And
I mean, it's very broad and like it's like Ash Blossom in a way where it kind of can hit a lot of things. Minorly
I completely disagree.
Yeah.
I think it's like Droll and Lockbird in that most of the time you don't go near it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the time it's the best card in the game.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think Gnome is literally very polarizing. Right now, it's not very good. I think we'll have a format where it's literally the best card of the format, and you have to own 3 and play 3 in every single deck.
And when that happens, boy, you better hope you already own them, because
Oh, yes.
there will be people that have pages of them, and they will charge you £70 each.
Sure.
Seen it with Ghost Girls.
Next question, Joe McMahon asks, do you think Phantasma is a usable card in going second Sky Striker just to morph your hand turn 1 and have a free pop to roll? I would say no, due to the fact that if you draw it later in the turn, it's real bad. Like, anything that's not a spell is very, very
you do have
sad,
a lot of draw
and it's
power in
not
your
an
deck.
ash. You're already drawing
Yeah,
stuff.
like the issue is that you can't ever play it.
In a
Past
6-card opening
Yeah.
hand, your likelihood of opening bad in Striker is so much lower than a 5-card opening hand. Like, you don't need the extra draw power.
Also, you have, like, if you're playing Phantasme, you absolutely have to hit a multi-roll, or an Area 0, or a Terraforming, or in order to do anything with your turn. So if you just don't draw those, then you have Phantasme.
Yeah,
Fantasma not great on his own.
I had that happen to me. I think round 2 I played against the like level 9 Dino Wombo combo Bananas deck, and he like went Lost World, Overraptor, give you a token, search UTC, pass, and I draw, and I'm like, I cannot play a single card in my hand. Set 4, go.
It's just miserable. I played against a Mindburn deck who just summoned he just immediately Ojama Trio, and I was sitting there like, I just don't have outs to Ojama Trio. Very sad.
Was this right at the start of the format?
This is right at the start of the format.
Ojama Trio is actually like really funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of difficulty clearing it at this stage. Max Tim has a very important question which we meant to touch on, but we didn't. Thoughts on the new announced YCS events later this year.
Oh yeah.
Big hype.
We have Ghent coming up in September. Yep. I think it is the weekend after Niagara Falls.
Cool.
I hope.
Like the 21st, 22nd?
Yeah, around then. Sweet. I think Niagara is the weekend before. And then there is YCS London, which I see an image going about which says that it has been announced. I have not seen it on the website, so either A, it was accidentally announced ahead of schedule and then taken down.
There's a reasonable chance that there was waiting for confirmation from the MCM hosts, because like we know YCS London always comes on the exact same weekend of the year when they run it, and it's at the MCM Comic Con.
Yeah, it's the last week in October.
I hope that we are doing it again. I imagine that it will happen, and that it's just a case of they needed to wait for official confirmation. Possibly they need to wait for MCM to announce that there is a Yugioh event at the venue before they then... I don't know if there is an MCM announcement for the event as a whole yet.
But presumably, it's safe to assume that there's probably a YCS London.
One would assume that what happened was they just pushed the wrong button and it got
we don't even need to theorize it because it doesn't actually matter. People are confirming that it was up on the website, so most likely happening. Ghent is a really nice city. I was there last, I think, 2016 for the extravaganza there, which was a relatively small Yu-Gi-Oh event, but it was a big convention fact.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, it's a nice city. Yeah. I'm looking forward to visiting it.
I've never spent any actual time in Belgium, so it'll be nice to see like
a new place. Traveled through.
Yeah, I've travelled through Belgium a lot, but I've never actually spent time there. So I'm quite looking forward to like a different, a new city. I quite like when YCS go to new cities. Obviously, I like the old ones, but it's nice to visit new places.
Question based on results: do we think that mine is still the top of the list of cards to be banned? I think it's in like the top 5 cards that should be banned.
Yeah,
I don't
format.
think.
I think it should go to 1.
Yeah,
format.
I mean 1 is.
I'm still very much against it being 1 because that just becomes it still is just this card you side in everything and just go. I went second, well, probably main. Anything with terraforming, they're like, well, I just terraforming for mine, activate mine, guess you can't do anything.
Like, I don't want it to be around forever. I don't think that it should go to 1 and stay at 1, but I certainly wouldn't be aggrieved if we go from this format to a format with 1 mine and then to a format where it gets banned.
Sure.
It's not a card that I hate so much that I think that it needs to be instantly banned, because for me, like, it forces people's hand a bit on deck building, but sometimes it's nice to have formats where the rules of the game change because of a card that exists.
Yeah.
I don't mind people being forced to play back row removal. It's just, mine is so oppressive.
Mine is a very interesting card, and when you only have to tackle 1 mine, it's very different to having to tackle 3 mines.
You completely remove the possibility of people playing mine deck. It's just a tech that you can include.
And you can't metaverse for it realistically, because you'd have to be playing something else for your metaverse that you actually want to metaverse for. So like the only deck that might still be playing is like Geist, because they can metaverse for Village.
So, question on mine. For people that want to side mine, is mine in your side deck strictly better than any other hand trap you could be siding?
It's the emotional damage it causes that is most.
I mean, that is the most important
I think
thing.
There's possibly more emotional damage to a no material.
That's true, but there's more risk as well.
Mine also
but it's got a little sign. They both have signs, don't they?
Mine covers a lot more of the meta. Is it
those ones? Might be a 1.
It's a 1.
Okay.
Wait,
it's that secret rare that nobody wanted from that one obscure set. I think.
Stardust Overdrive or something.
The fire set with all of the trash
He's gone.
secrets.
No.
Cosmo Blazer?
Cosmo Blazer. Yeah. What's the spell guy?
The spell guy. I have no idea what you're talking
The guy
about.
on Mystic Mind. He's a secret rare from Cosmo Blazer.
I thought it was way older.
Is there
than
one in
that.
the stack? I don't know.
I think he's from Cosmo
Okay, I
Blazer.
don't know.
Anyway, regardless,
back to relevant
he's trash.
questions.
The card that he's on is good. How many points do you need to be locked for the European playoff?
11.
11.
I think Carr is now on 458 points, and I'm at 448. Jonas and Josh both leaped quite far ahead of me,
Right.
so I think they've got like 20-30 point buffer. So like, if I do like really well at UK Nationals, I'll be way up in the top 8. But realistically, anything, it was 118th or better locks me, and then there's possibility that some of the people who were slightly lower down in the top 8 before could fail to do
Sure.
particularly well at their nationals.
Like, you want a positive integer, but you don't need a lot of positive integer.
And there's a chance that I could still get in even if I fail to get any points.
Austin Hendricks asks the interesting question of thoughts on Electric Virus this format.
It's such a cool card. I had somebody play it against me quite recently, and then they went to summon a Colossus, and I was like, you haven't used any Thunder Dragons yet. It's like, no, I used Electric
Thunder
Virus.
Effect Command.
It's just
The
a Thunder.
effect
I was like,
commands.
nice.
Yep.
So it's like there have been quite a few games where Thunder Dragons have been actually stumped by the fact that they're playing so many fewer Thunder Dragon cards that sometimes they can't get to Colossus because they just didn't have one before their Saryuja.
Yeah, you need to get the stuff in the right order to where you get the Hawk is the last thing.
But yeah, I found that interaction particularly cool. There are a lot of machines at the moment. All of the Orcust deck. The Striker Links never leave the field if you just steal them, so it's not triggering the Ray engrave. Yeah, it's a really cool card. I like it a
It
lot.
also steals all of the dragons in the Thunder Dragon match.
Yeah, you can...
I mean, it used to be more relevant when Hot Red was the card, because both of the interactions...
They're still making Hot Red.
Oh, see, the list that I saw from Knoxville was making Crystal Wing.
I've seen a lot more
People
Hot
are
Red,
flopping
but yeah,
between
like...
the two.
Sure.
Yeah,
Right.
if you can steal Hot Red, then it's really good.
Yeah.
Imagine Wagons, who is
Still love the
brilliant.
username.
asks what is the best hand trap in this format.
Ash Blossom because it hits every deck.
Yeah,
I would say
agree.
Impermanence because it doesn't get hit by Cold Light.
No, Impermanence is so mediocre.
No, Impermanence hits...
But it summons my multi-breaker.
Like, Impermanence is the only one that matters in the Thunder matchup.
Yeah.
Both in your turn negating Colossus and in their turn hitting the Saryuja that's getting chain blocked.
I think that hitting the first Guard Dragon effect is really powerful.
Sure.
I'll be very happy if Thunder Dragon makes a mediocre board against me because they couldn't do all the Guard Dragon stuff.
I found that a lot of the Thunder builds can extend past.
Yeah, they can still make a real board, but I don't care about whether or not they can make a real board. I care about whether or not they can make a busted board.
Wait,
because
are you hitting LP or Agripane?
The one that summons the Brotor.
LP.
Yeah, LP.
Yeah, you just... I didn't even know that you could hit Agripane with Ash Blossom. I thought it just summons from extra deck.
we were talking
Real
Impermanence.
Oh, sorry. No, yeah. I was still thinking Ash Blossom.
Sure,
like,
sure.
Yeah.
why I like that
Yeah,
card
that
is
is the main
because...
thing.
Yeah, like I enjoy Ash. I think Ash is the best hand trap because it's the one that hits everything. I don't think it's the most impactful hand trap, but I do think it's the best one.
It is, in any given matchup, Ash Blossom is never the strongest hand trap, but it's probably like top 3 in every matchup.
Mohammed asks, is the Friday playoff before yours going to be streamed? From my understanding, it is definitely being recorded, but I don't know if it will be broadcast on Friday or if we are broadcasting it in between rounds on the Saturday and Sunday. But it will be recorded and it will be uploaded somewhere, and we will, of course, link to it regardless. Bradley Haywood says preach. He also said something about a return tour, I think, in regards to YCS London.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So
Brad will be back for both of those.
So how would you make a decision on what to play at Nats if you're still struggling to figure it out? So what you do is you go to Argos, you buy a dartboard, and you just kind of like throw darts until you figure it out. Like very much what you're comfortable on. We see that the format is very broad. It depends what you're aiming for as well. If you're aiming to win nats versus to top nats, you're going to build differently. Like you said, you know, is it right to be on like a super consistent Salmon Great deck, or is it good to be on?
Polarize for half the matchups.
Yeah, you want to polarize and just be like
you
if
can
I
play
roll
Second
good,
Thunder and
I
just
win.
accept you lose to mine. It's a possibility.
I think if you're in a position where you don't know what deck you're playing, then you want to go for something that you're comfortable with and something that is relatively high variance. Because if you don't know what you're playing, then you're probably not that like in the format right now. You might not know how to beat every matchup. So going for something that's got like a bit more of a luck factor to it. So if you do get a bit lucky, then you can storm through and do really well. But if you don't get lucky, maybe it wasn't your day. But yeah, if you're very comfortable, then a more conservative build must be better. But yeah, if you're at this stage, days away, asking what deck to play, choose something a little bit greedy.
Yeah, if you're picking your deck 4 days before the event, then regardless of how much testing you do between now and then, you will not be the best player with that deck in the room. And at that point, you need to get an edge in those mirror matches in some other way, or against the general format in some other way, which means you should probably play a slightly higher variance version of the deck.
So the next question is, what are each of your favorite decks? You get one deck, you get one sentence to explain why it's your favorite deck.
Ever.
Okay, so I will go first. I really love Noble Knights because I'm just a trash player at heart. We recorded a video with one of the German YouTubers at the end of German Nationals, and we just had to look like we were looking through cards and stuff for it. I'll link it whenever it goes up. And so everybody else is looking through strikers, and I'm just there doing Noble Knight combos, and it was really good.
Okay, good.
I don't know if they showed up, but I tried my best, guys. Thomas?
I really like Omega Turbo. So this is before Master. Like it's not a deck I've ever played.
The Dark Warrior Omega Turbo.
Like anything where
like
you play
Dragon, level 1 tuners like that.
Yeah, kind of like all of the tunings
like
and everything.
Turbo.
Yeah, hand loop. Omega hand loop.
Yeah, the Dark Warrior hand loop where you
there was
go
Dark
like triple
Warrior,
Omega.
but
there have been a lot of
there have been
hand
lots of different
loops.
ways. There's like Synchro Fusionist, but like it is a combo deck that doesn't have a combo you can ever write down because it draws a lot of cards and it depends on the order that things happen. You make like 100 actions on turn 1, and they aren't 100 actions that you could
know in advance.
So it's in that way is a bit similar to Gemknight FTK. Gemknight FTK has loads of lines, but you can just learn them all because it doesn't have a lot of drawing cards. I think the Omega deck was one step more difficult than that
because you were playing with information.
You couldn't have even like a 3-card combo where you knew everything that was going to happen in the turn because Librarian would draw you cards along the way. So I think that is the absolute skill ceiling, like the most skillful and difficult to play you could ever get for a turn 1 combo deck, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that was way more than one sentence.
Yeah,
sorry.
Alec. So Chaos Control has always been my bread and butter, because Spirit Reaper is all I want to do in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Cool.
Every bit of text on that card.
Nice and simple, concise sentence. Good job.
I thought long and hard about this. I'm gonna go with the Zoo Draco deck that we played for Thomas flashbacks. But I go with the Zoo Draco deck we played for 2017 Nationals.
Oh no! 2017 Nationals never happened.
Yeah, Tom did real
there
bad.
Was an airplane. We will leave it at that.
Our deck was really spicy. We were playing Lithosagem. It had lots of cool combos. It was not in at all a healthy format, but I loved playing that deck because I felt so far ahead of everyone else.
Okay, it's over.
Flyta Zyle asks, what's your perfect Sunday? And I'm going to say that it's the Sunday of Euros, where not only do we get an awesome event, but we will then be cubing in the evening with a live studio.
And we know at least 2 of our players are going to Worlds.
Yeah.
You gotta make it happen, Alec.
Three of us. It's fine.
Jamie, I believe in you.
There are lots of other things to do on Sundays. I went like cycling and hiking this weekend,
Yeah.
and it was great. Like I went for like a 20-kilometer
cycle?
cycle on the Friday before the event, and it is like the best way to start an event ever. It's so good. Like go out and exercise, but wait until the stream's finished. Does anybody have anything they want to add to Sundays?
I think my favourite Sunday this year was the day after Northern Irish Open, when just went on like a big old road trip around Northern Ireland with my girlfriend. We had a lovely time, went up to Giant's Causeway, just sort of like, late lunch, nice dinner, just chilled out. That was
Had a switch.
Yeah.
Little things. Opinion on Dolphin and Connector. Dolphin and our Connector potentially being on the list. I mean, if you hit either, I don't think you can hit Dolphin. I don't think you can really hit either of them. You can put Connector to one. Like,
that just kills it. Like
it's like Isolde, where like no, because you want it available for the Neos decks.
Yes, the
Neos
the
is
Neos
meta,
deck.
You could hit
Duels.
Connector to 1 or 2, and I think you'd still just play it.
Yeah,
Because Dolphin is
Dolphin
fine.
is
Yeah.
bad.
if you're on all the dangers, then
Yeah. Like, Dolphin is a card that when you open it, you're like, it's not Connector, but it's fine.
I'll take it. Doesn't get ashed.
Yeah.
I will say I think it's the worst of the normal summons in that deck now. Behind
The Connector.
behind Candina.
Okay,
Yeah.
And I think we're in agreement on behind Armo.
Yeah.
I think that Connector is still one of the better normal summons, simply because it says discard a card, look at your opponent's hand.
Yeah. Sure. We are asked if I want to make a rogue deck more consistent, what do I do? A really good engine to put in rogue decks to make them more consistent is Dangers.
Yes.
Cards that draw you cards make your deck more
Pot
consistent.
of Desires is going to be my suggestion.
I was going to
Yeah.
say Acquisitiveness.
Cards that say draw cards.
Yeah.
No,
Extravagance,
Extravagance,
yeah.
that's the one.
Inquisitive.
A card.
I mean,
things that say draw in text that don't limit your deck design are pretty good.
Lil Sheep, who has been in the chat before, got top 64 at German Nationals, so awesome.
Well played.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You weren't able to find me to record a profile, which is unfortunate. You are also 15, so I'm not sure if I can legally put minors on the channel, so I'm not sure the legality of that. If you want to send us your list, though, as Echelate had mentioned in the chat, if you shoot us a message on Facebook, we can definitely get the list up, if nothing else. And also, congrats again. Well done on the top
Topping
64.
German Nationals at 15 years old is mad impressive.
That is pretty powerful.
Pretty good.
And then Argo, who I actually got to meet and chat to a bunch. I've played a bunch of Battle Pack with Argo.
Good.
Where do you get this battle pack?
On Legacy of the Duelist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's real good, real good.
Holding out on us.
So, what do we think of the ban list in July? What will it hit, and how might it change the meta?
It's a
I think it's
really
far
good
too
list,
early.
and really wish they hit more. And
Yeah.
Ominous fortune teller.
I really think it's too early to tell. We've got like 2 nationals next weekend. We've got another one after that. 2 major nationals next weekend. Another one the weekend after that. Then we got Euros and the NAWCQ. The other Continentals I don't think have happened
I
yet.
would disagree because I think July is when we reset the format. I think July or the list after that is when we actually have to just strip a lot of stuff back.
I think it will be a big list, but I think it's too early to say exactly what.
I don't think it has to be a big list.
Crazy high at the moment.
The power level, it's not the power level, it's the complexity of the format is becoming very broad, and so it's very difficult to enter the format competitively because there are so many decks.
Okay.
So I think that's a consideration. Like, players like alternating between kind of 3 deck formats and 10 deck formats, and like, we thought we were in a 3 deck format, but it seems like we're in a 50 deck format.
When
and
did
that's
we
very
last have a
overwhelming.
1 deck format?
Spiral Tier 0.
Spiral
London.
Tier 0, and that was the worst format I've ever played.
I didn't play that format.
It was the worst format I've ever played. I would never want to go back to that.
Oh, I quite like those formats occasionally. I wouldn't
Like,
want it
that
all
one
the
in
time.
particular
for
was
like
bad.
a week, and then you can have an E-list and ban all of the monkey boards and
They
stuff.
did that, and then Spiral was still the best deck.
Yeah.
But it was less the best deck.
I mean, it was still 100% the best deck.
But yeah, so like we don't have any particular insight on it, but presumably the main decks are going to get hit. But again, I think the broadness of the format is something that possibly needs to be addressed. To be fair, Modern in Magic is a very popular format, and it's a very broad format. So as long as they can print cards that are interesting and provide new ways to play, they don't have to hit anything. But if they have difficulty making those cards stick, then they will have to hit stuff to bring the new cards into our vision. Haloran is asking, is there a spot against Danger Thunder where no material just locks them out? I haven't actually studied that, so I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys are aware.
There will be a point against the Guard Dragon bit.
Right.
Is the short answer.
Yeah, the Guard Dragon.
It stops them making Colossus, and it realistically stops them making. Well, they might be able to like Levineer you and get you down to 3 cards, drawing to 4 cards, but they should not be able to make any of the relevant extra deck cards.
Joe asks, are we going to be playing at all on Friday before UK Nats? They're running some small side events. Depends when we get there.
Ping always does.
I always do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
the
judging,
Friday
so.
side events is my opportunity to be all like, here's the deck I want to play. Let's see if it doesn't suck.
Does it work?
Did you do that for Dante's Cap last year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you did actually.
Yeah.
I played a
remember talking
Winner
to you.
mat. I lost to, I think it was JY in the final.
Yeah.
He was playing his like 60 card deck after everyone thought
He was
that
playing-
wasn't really a thing
yeah,
He was
anymore.
playing the JY.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
nobody thought that was a deck at that point. This was like no grass. He was
Yeah,
just doing him. Like big respect. Like I got bodied in that final round. But it showed me what I needed to see to make some big changes to my side deck to get ready for the main event. And I love that last opportunity to just do a little rain check on all the decisions that you've made in the deck building.
I certainly won't be playing on Friday of UK Nats, but I will be there, probably registering your deck list.
Yes, Sebastian is on staff for the event. And then
obviously
I am
played
also
my nationals.
on staff.
Yeah.
So. Seb is judging. I will be a talky person.
Just everyone's seeking their strengths.
Yes, exactly.
Yikes.
Team Mambo are asking about League of Legends in the chat.
No.
Who?
It's not
Get out.
really
I don't know that card.
Never heard of
No,
it.
no, exactly.
Someone asked about my origin earlier.
It's an archetype.
We will do player profiles once we have the jerseys. At Euros, we will have jerseys, and then we will get nice photos of everybody, and we will have little player profiles, and you can find out all about us.
When are the jerseys arriving? It's exciting.
The jerseys are meant to arrive before I go to the States, I think.
Okay.
They might be here before Irish Nationals, or else they'll be here directly after Irish Nationals.
Yeah, you were saying like estimate like 14th or something.
Yeah.
Pretty hyped
And
for
then
that.
I fly out to the States on the Tuesday, arrive Wednesday at 12 in, like, I thought I was arriving 12 afternoon, but actually I'm arriving, like, midnight in the morning. So, like, it just becomes Wednesday, and then I'm there.
So wait, what time does your flight depart?
I don't know. These are tough questions,
Okay.
Tom.
It'll be
Pass.
evening.
Thoughts on Shaddoll Fusion in the side of Orcust at top Knoxville? Again, like the
I
format.
keep bringing up this card. I keep telling everyone, can we play Shaddoll Fusion yet? And everyone's like, no.
Stop it, Tom.
But you also say no to instant fusion windows, so I'm getting mixed messages here. But it's not Shaddoll Fusion. I think
Shaddoll Fusion is so many cards.
if you want to play Shaddoll Fusion, though, why not just play the Infernoid Salmon Grave list, which we have on the channel,
Because
that top Brazilian ones.
Neither of those things are Shaddolls.
Neither of those things
but
have
you
Shadow
get to
effects.
like just do everything.
Does it play Ultimate Construct?
Ultimate Construct?
like
Ulti
ultimate
first.
round.
No.
Console.
But I'm sure you could like fit it into the side deck. You could fit Shaddoll
I'm not.
Fusion
I'm not.
into
I'm
it.
not interested at this point.
No, it's a window.
You could play Grista.
Yeah.
Wee. People in the chat, tell me what Grista does.
Nobody knows. It's a trick question.
It's a level 7.
Yay! 2, 4, 5.
I didn't even know that much.
I mean, it's really cool artwork.
They all have different levels.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean,
It has it's Karen Gorgon controlled by the Shaddoll core.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It-
Shaddolls have like 6.
I mean, yeah, like all of that.
They
That
have
was great.
artwork and great lore.
Great
Okay,
lore.
okay, we are coming up to the end, and we haven't answered all of your questions, and
Yeah.
I'm very sorry about that. But I am taking over the conversation because
Oh.
all aboard. So Yu-Gi-Oh is a surprisingly religious game, considering it's a children's trading card game. And so
Are we here to talk about Get?
no. Great guy. No, so it's really interesting because if you look at Magic the Gathering in their original alpha printing, they had I forget which card it is, but they have a few cards which have like direct imagery to real life religions.
Yeah, a lot of clerics and priests.
Yeah, and there's like a pentagram and stuff, and you know the usual. But they actively moved away from that.
Just like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Just like Yu-Gi-Oh did, but Yu-Gi-Oh in Japan still has Anks on everything.
And even now
and
in
we're
the
getting
TCG,
Anks in the
it's
TCG,
coming back.
and we have the pentagram on the back of Exodia in the TCG.
Yeah, the Lost
And-
Art stuff is showing that
Yeah.
it's kind of modernized, and we've realized that nobody's going to die if you print iconography on a trading card.
But from my understanding, the Duelist Alliance cards, a lot of them pull teams from world religions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no other trading card game does that, and it's really interesting. There's like a lot of depth to kind of the lore behind the cards. There is the like Yu-Gi-Oh lore, and then there's actual real world lore that's being pulled in.
Shaddoll Nephilim is the original name for Construct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Winda also had a different name, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. It had a weird name.
I don't know.
Yeah, I forget it. Fastress or something? I don't know.
We'll find
But you know that's I think that's really interesting, and it's kind of weird how the game can approach it. I mean, Noble Knights as well has a lot of iconography that is like clearly pulled from
The Arthurian legends.
Yeah, Arthurian legends. Like the chalice is very clearly
The Holy Grail.
the Holy Grail. Like there's no subtlety.
Yeah.
And so
Midrash.
I don't know. Yeah, Midrash. There we go. But yeah, that's something that I think is quite interesting. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I think it's really cool. I don't know much about it, but I like how lots of the cards are connected together through stories.
Yeah.
The
lore is
DT series, and then moving into the
Duelist Alliance and then Code of the Duelist. Yeah, all of those stories are really great. But it just kind of is cool how they can have kind of a lot of influence from outside ideas, which the other card games don't have. Like, Pokemon doesn't have much of a story going on. You get those cute cards where it's like, you know, a Charmander with some kids, and then like a Charmeleon with some teenagers,
but
and
you've
then
already
a
lost because
Charizard.
You've already lost because you're playing Pokemon.
I mean, Pokemon's a lovely game. It's a lot of fun.
Like, Pokemon has the story in the games themselves, so you don't need to get fed little bits of story through the cards, because you have, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh anime is a story about people playing the cards, so that's very separate from having
Gagagigo is a story where the cards
within the
tell
cards.
a story.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then it appears in the show, and everything goes crazy.
Stop.
Too many layers.
Should we take one more question?
Bradley Haywood asks, "Are you sure your favorite deck isn't Monarch FDK, Tom?"
I do quite like FDK decks. I think that they are a really interesting
experiment.
An exercise in like maximizing ratios and percentages. I don't think they can ever exist anymore because of where we've got to with hand traps. Like, consistent FTKs shouldn't be hugely viable. We had a big anomaly with all of the danger FTKs that kept coming through and being...
The Pendulum stuff.
Yeah. The Pendulum FTK was completely different to traditional FTK decks in that it was a real deck that could do a 8,000 burn damage, which I don't think an FTK should ever be like that. The danger FTKs were a little bit closer to pure FTK in that they do a combo and that combo kills you, but they also field a lot of attack points, which...
They also danger punched you in a second.
Yeah, so that was unpleasant for the format, but I think that decks like Monarch FTK were quite interesting in that, like, it's horrible to play against because it is just solitaire, but they're quite fun to build and optimize. They should just never be winning events.
But the most important thing is Tom has played a few FTKs between YCS's and side events. I don't believe you've ever won a game with any of them.
No, I did quite well in side events at the YCS where I took an FTK.
Okay.
I mean, you also won a trad event, which is basically just...
But
that's just trad. Trad is all FTKs.
That wasn't even an FTK.
No, it was just Shockmaster.
It was just, at that point, the equivalent of E-Link.
Sure.
Yeah.
In fact,
your opponent can't play any cards, and you kill them on the next
trad
turn.
event that I actually got first place in, I was just
Shaddoll
playing
stuff.
traditional with good cards.
Mm-hmm.
I finished second in a trad event where I was playing an FTK. But yeah, the one that I won, I wasn't even FTKing people.
Not even trying. Talking of FTKs, well, OTKs are just like not letting people play. Yugioh is apparently based on Korean lore about a bird that rotates here.
That's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like the spirit monsters, their artworks are cool, their effects are cool.
Yeah.
Yugioh is...
I have 3 of every spirit monster because they're the dopest artwork that Konami's ever printed.
The Kendo guy, right?
The Kendo guy.
The Kendo Pendulum Spirit guy.
Oh, yeah,
That's
all
your favorite,
3 of
them. Thunderdome asks, why are you going to the States? I will be judging the North American International Championships for Pokemon, and they are covering my travel, so might as well. It's a week before Utrecht, so we'll see how awake I am.
So that's NAWCQ weekend.
Yes, I'll be in Columbus, Ohio, but just, wrong part of the States. But,
Great.
Not quite at the point of going over. We want to take one more question. People quickly throw us questions so we can have a good one to go out on. Or don't. Like, it's up to you guys. We make this for you, so if you want to just not enjoy it...
Just stop nonsense. It's fine.
Just nonsense. That's what I was
what you
for.
It's what we've been doing for the last 90 minutes.
Indeed.
But okay. There aren't any questions. I think the most valuable thing to do is rock, paper, scissors. Which one do you pick? More importantly, instead of that, because that's a terrible question, if you just had to recommend a deck for nationals to people,
60 or 40 card Orcust.
Yeah,
I like 60 because I think it's more fun.
Fun is an important
Thank
part
you
of
for
playing
saving
games.
us with that question.
That's a real question.
Wow. Feel betrayed. I'm gonna go join Team Mambo now, guys. We'll see you later.
No.
Okay. Cut the stream.
But we will be at UK Nationals this weekend in Derby.
Yep.
Derby in the Roundhouse, which is
A really cool venue.
pretty high. 2-2. It's a train Roundhouse.
It's a
very fun. We will be there for commentary. We will be playing. If you see us, we actually have... Where is it?
I have one here.
Here. We have...
No.
Just threw it on the floor. We have new Kuribrohs cards, which now actually work as field centers, and they are nice on the back as well. So you can get one of these signed by the lovely Thomas Rose, or Seb, or Alec, or myself.
Please don't ask me to sign cards while I'm like in the middle of judging.
In the middle of a game, like as he's about to like.
As I'm about to issue a ruling, then
that they need to clean up their act.
Put on deodorant.
It's very hard. So we will be there. We look forward to seeing you guys there. If you're playing UK Nationals, good luck. French Nationals, from what I have heard, it is fully booked out. So if you were planning on going to it, be aware of that. If you have already registered, then you're fine. But otherwise, something to be aware of. There are more nationals. There's Italian, Irish, UK coming up. So consider around that. We will try and get as much as we can from French nationals. And we will, of course, be recording at UK nationals. Myself and anybody else of the team who is available will quite happily take your profile if we're free. This will most likely be either of these two, which is unlikely. So, yeah, we'll have somebody recording. And yeah, thank you all for joining us. Good luck at your events this weekend. And we will be back soon with like 10 million deck profiles, which will all be going live shortly. Cool. Have a lovely evening, guys.
See you next week.
TKB signing
Bye,
out.
guys.
And now we wait for the stream to actually end.